The Strange Motion Way podcast, brought to you by
Royal Purple. Premium synthetic motor oils and high-performance chemicals have been designed to improve performance, provide long-term protection, and give you the confidence to push your vehicle to the limit. Royal Purple Premium Synthetic Motor Oils. Welcome to another episode of the Strange Motion Way podcast. I'm your host, Tim Strange, along with
Carrie Strange.
Tonight, we got what I call a newer generation. Instead of we've had a lot of older generation builders, one of the new guys on the top of the heap right now, past Good Guys Trendsetter recipient, co-host for Courtney Hansen's Ride of Your Life Season 1. He's won a GM Iron Builder of the Year award, Good Guys Custom Rod of the Year, a Riddler Grade 8. I did some quick Googling. Can't lie if it's on Google. Street Machine of the Year finalist, Hot Rod of the Year finalist, and many more, along with many magazine features. Welcome tonight, Will Posey from Big Oak Garage.
Man, thanks for having me, Tim and Carrie.
Yeah, we've talked to you every time we see you, or we'll call you up or something, say, hey, we got to get you on. So I just called you the other day and said, hey, let's get this scheduled. So you were here not too long ago at the shop on a mixing station, and it's like, we could do it now. And it's like, no, Carrie has been on calls. So, and you know me enough that I am not the high-tech person. I am Ron Burgundy. She does all the tech. And yes, we have cats that show up every once in a while. He's going to be friendly tonight. So,
what's the name? What's your cat's name?
The little black and white one is Axel, and the other one is Turbo. And we have right now an orange tabby cat outside that's trying to get in. So our cats are a little stressed out right now.
Nice. We have a cat named Axel as well.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Is he batshit crazy like this one is?
Yeah, he's pretty wild. He's
a lover, but he's 1 year old, so he's a little zoomy.
He's a lover on his own terms.
Yeah. So let's go back to little Will. How did you get into hot rods as a little one?
I just grew up in it. My dad has always been a home builder. Grew up in the back seat of a 56 Chevrolet, just touring the Southeast, going to, NSRA, Good Guys, the classic Chevy International shows, stuff like that.
You guys still have? Okay.
That's it. So I remember I don't really remember that much of it, but 1985, we drove it to Orlando to the Classic Chevy International Convention. I got to go to Disney World because there was a car show in Orlando.
How old were you at that time?
I was 7. Yeah, I think I was 7 or 8.
So we share that. I didn't know that. I know you're Tri-5 guys. You guys come to Tri-5 Nationals. You build a lot of awesome Tri-5s. But my first national event that I went and stayed overnight was 81 in Dearborn for the Classic Chevy show. And I was 11, and I met Chris Sondels, and that runs the Tri-5 Association now. So Tri-5s are good cars to grow up with.
Oh, yeah. Funny story about that event. I do remember this. We were at the show, and Dad was competing in the custom class because, back then you could have 1 change, 2 change, 3 change, and then it was custom. So he was in the custom class with our 4-door 56, and the blue dot fell out of the taillight. And he grabbed my sister. My sister was chewing some gum, and he grabbed her gum and stuck the blue dot back in it and placed 3rd in the custom class with gum holding the blue dot in the taillight.
Yeah, those classic Chevy shows, they had, specialty judges come in, and I think, and that's what Chris does now, kind of jumping out of order, but it got really stringent, and it kind of lost the fun out of it, unless you were in the custom class and you could kind of do whatever. But, they judged down. It was like a concours for Tri-5s, the right battery ends, the right battery, the right tires, and everything like that.
Yep. And so after that, I always wanted to be around cars, and I had a really strong interest in drag racing. And when I was, 14, 15 years old, one of my dad's best friends, Felix Firestone, he drag raced a lot. And so Dad said, well, you go help Felix, and you like it. You like helping him, being his pit crew, then I'll sell the street rod and buy a drag car.
Oh, awesome.
So when Yep. When I was 15, he had a 46 Chevrolet sedan at the time that he had built from the ground up. Sold it, bought a full tube chassis 67 Camaro drag car. And when I was 17, I started driving it.
So you started drag racing. Did you have your own car yet at this time? Like a car that you were going to build, or was just the drag car at that time?
It was just a drag car. That was our main focus. We didn't do a lot of car showing and stuff. And I mean, we still went to Nat South, in Knoxville. That was the biggest, show around at the time. So we'd go to Nat South every year, and we ran every Super Chevy show we could because, it was a car show and a drag race. And we liked
Super Chevy as a kid?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went to all of them.
Yeah, that one was, I remember I was probably 15 the first time I went. And then when I was building my Chevelle the second time, like 18 or something, I bought a set of heads out of the swap meet. Dude, that Indianapolis event, it'd take you almost all day to go through the swap meet back then. That was an amazing event.
We never drag raced at that one, but we would go about every year. And we always drag raced Memphis and Atlanta Super Chevy. And, it was a lot of fun back in those days.
So your dad didn't have a shop. What was your dad doing for a living then?
So he worked for Alabama Power Company. He was a troubleman for Alabama Power. Okay. And he made a good living. My mom was a nurse practitioner. So we got to go and do some. And then after I graduated high school, I went to McPherson College to get a degree in automobile restoration because that's what I wanted to do.
So let's back up. What was your daily driver like going to school at that time? Did you have some embarrassing thing, or were you a S10 guy, or what?
No, I had, and I still have this. It's 82 two-wheel drive K5 Blazer. Lower.
Oh, cool.
That's what I drove.
That's pretty cool.
Were you a jock?
Yeah. Yeah, I played football.
Yeah? Were you like the water boy, or did you actually get on the field?
No, so I only played football for 4 years. I started playing, but Dad wouldn't let me play Pee Wee football. So I started playing football in the 9th grade, and I started 3 of the 4 years I played football.
I played in junior high, then I went bike racing instead. So.
And then during school, did you have a job? What was your first job?
I did. I hauled a lot of hay. I worked at a convenience store.
Convenience store and grocery store is our number one answer.
Yep.
I think you're our first kind of halfway farm kid that hauled hay, other than me.
Yeah. And then I worked at a hardware store. As well. So.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right. So then in high school, were you into cars in high school, or when did
He's drag racing. Okay?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I am paying attention.
She's plugging up on sinuses right now. So.
I was
right. Hey, Philip.
So in high school.
I still got guys working in the shop.
Good.
So
You're good. You're drag racing. You're working in a convenience store. When was the first thought process that you wanted to build hot rods for a living?
What was the key to why you wanted to go? And I just realized until 2 years ago, I was saying McPherson. It's McPherson. I think Adam Banks corrected me on that.
Oh yeah, most people say there's no fear in McPherson, and when you get there, you figure out real quick it's McPherson. It ain't McPherson. So we were drag racing, and wait, what was the question? Sorry.
What made you click that one you wanted to go to McPherson and do hot rods?
So my parents had put away money for me to go to college, so I had to go to college. That was a thing that I had to go to college. I didn't really want to go to college. I wanted to either drag race or work on cars. That's what I wanted to do. And I was on a church trip with my mom, and I come home, and Dad starts telling me that he was watching My Classic Car with Dennis Gage, and he was at this college in Kansas where you could get a degree in automobile restoration. And so I was like, that's where I want to go. I was going to go to Auburn and become a ag teacher. So, I got the summers off and I could work on the cars and stuff. And that's what I was kind of planning on doing. And then when we saw where you could get an education and a degree in automobile restoration, I said that's where I wanted to go. So, like 3 weeks after that, we scheduled a visit. I was a senior in high school. We drove out. We drove out to McPherson, and I visited the college and turned in my application. And at first, I didn't get accepted, and they wanted me to come out anyway. And I'm like, yeah, I'll just work for Alan Johnson, and when I get ready to go, I'll go. And one kid dropped out, and I wound up getting accepted right out of high school.
So you were 18 at this time, and you were working a little bit at a hot rod shop. You were Johnson's Hot Rod Shop.
Right. So the day after I graduated high school, I went to work for Alan Johnson.
So how age group difference are you guys?
I don't know.
He's probably a year older than me, I think.
All right. I'm 45.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Alan was pretty young when I went to work over there.
Yeah, he was like me. I started my shop when I was 23 years old, right? 22 years old, 23 years old, 23. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Alan was fairly young too. His dad's got a body shop, so I think he was kind of building hot rods in the back of his dad's body shop back then. So it seems like they hadn't had the hot rod shop built that long when I went to work for Alan. I think I know we were working on the red 37 three-window coupe, the one he made out of steel, the one they took the Zephyr roof off of a Zephyr.
Last time I seen that car is in Harold Chapman's collection in Austin, down by Austin.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That car was in process. The Woody, the 46788 Ford Woody was in process. Seemed like there was a couple of Speed Stars. That was the Speed Star Prime. Yeah. There was always a Speed Star in there. But I just helped my dad do a little bit. I didn't know nothing, it didn't take me long to know I didn't know nothing when I went to work over there.
So when you first started there at Johnson's, what were you doing? Sweeping floors, masking cars? Did he let you put tools in your hands, or?
Well, the first 2 or 3 weeks, I just cleaned the shop. I mean, I was just putting tools up, and at that time, he had a guy named Tony Inman that worked for him.
Tony,
Tony kind of took me under his wing and, told me what to do and where to clean up and, learn where tools are and stuff like that. And I did some late model stuff. I didn't really get to work on many hot rods, like the M-Class Mercedes just first come out, and we did a body kit on one of them for one of Alan's customers. Seemed like I lowered a dually. Did some work on his wagon. You remember that 62 wagon or 61 wagon that he had? I did some work on that. But, I was green. I didn't need to be touching high-end hot rod. So, and then I went off to McPherson. And
how long
so I worked for Alan.
Program to get out and be done there. How long does the McPherson? Because me and Carrie was both on advisory boards at Wildtech, then I was on advisory when VC Tech had a hot rod fab. But I've never been to McPherson. I want to go tour that place. How long were you at McPherson?
So when I was there, it was a 2-year program. Now it's a mandatory 4-year program.
Wow. Yeah, they're college projects now. They're taking cars to Pebble Beach. I mean, it's legit. Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely a legit program, and you follow up with like an education or history major or something like that to go along with it. I've actually got a young man that works at the shop that's a graduate of McPherson a couple of years ago, and he was a history and then automotive restoration major.
So did you just do the auto program, or did you have another major that you did?
No, I just did the 2 years of the automotive and
Tapped
come
out.
home.
I know what I want to do. I'm not going
Yeah.
to be a history teacher. Yeah.
Well, it's a private college. It's not a cheap place to go. It's fairly expensive, and I was living on campus, and I got done what I needed to get done and got out of Kansas.
So when we've went, especially in Laramie, Wyoming, they call the Wyotech guys techies, and the city doesn't really welcome the techies because they're kind of, a lot of them, when we were on there, they were greaser kids, they were troublemakers, they were partiers more than there was a more normal college in town. So down there, did you guys have a good thing, or did the town kind of like, oh, you guys are troublemakers?
Well, it was mixed because McPherson's actually a private Christian liberal arts college.
Okay.
So, yeah, they called us auto rats. And yeah, we were kind of the hellions of the school. They kind of gave us our own dorm, and we kind of did our own thing. And I think it's a little more unified now than what it was when we were there. But yeah, we just kind of did our own thing. They had special night classes just for us, so we could get our English, classes and stuff like that. So the only time we really ever mingled with any of the college students was either in the cafeteria, or like they'd have a movie night or a bowling night or something like that. And there was a few of the regular students there at McPherson that hung out with us, but not a lot.
So what year was this when you got done with McPherson?
I graduated in 2000.
Wow. Makes me feel old.
It makes me feel old today.
But it's been 25 years ago now when you think it.
Right?
It seems like it's like, oh, that's 10 years ago. No, it's 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Yeah. You got a McPherson. Did you go back to Johnson's?
So I went back to Allen's in between, my first and second year there. Worked about half a summer at Allen. And my dad had become friends with a guy that had a shop in Anniston, Alabama. So I went to work for a shop called Class Act. I worked with him.
Are they still around?
Through they still do some stuff, but they're not really doing a whole lot. Mainly just kind of some maintenance stuff on already cars that are done. But Steve Coleman is that guy, super nice guy. Proud that I got to work there. I learned a lot of stuff from him.
What were you doing there when you got out of school? So I know a lot of shop people. So were you a cocky, I just got out of school? Because that's one thing that Wyotech was kind of guilty on, is pumping the graduate's head like, dude, you're just going to walk into some shop and be the top dog there. And there are some that are really good right out of school, but they probably were pretty talented and could pick up on stuff even before. So I'm going to throw him under the bus. Tin Man up in Illinois. Does the Planish and Hammers. Amazing metal man. His dad, he was an industry kid because his dad worked for Heights, so you'd see him running around the rod runs. His dad was working the booth, and he went to work for Rockford area Illinois legend Kerry Hopperstead, and he went there, and he always kept that because Tin Man? What's his name? Brian. And he said he was cocky, so he said, I let him chop one of my sedan deliveries and lengthen the doors, and it sat as a reminder for 10 years in the corner of Hopperstead's shop. It's like, see, and he says, I humbled him real quick. He goes, but he fixed it eventually. And so, yeah, sometimes they fill their heads full a little bit. Were you cocky when you came out, or do you still had some stuff to learn?
Oh, no. I mean, I was working at Allen's shop, so I knew real quick that I didn't know I still didn't know what the hell I was doing. Seeing them cut the top off of a Lincoln Zephyr and put it on a 37 Ford, I knew I wasn't ready for that. Yeah. And so when I graduated, I went to work for Jesse. And, my thought process during all of that was, I want to work at as many shops as I can to learn their process and how they do things.
When you say
and how
Jesse Greening. Okay.
Yep. So that was they had just won the Riddler with Paul Atkins's Speed Star,
and that was early on in his career too. That was like he hadn't built a whole lot.
First car
got attention before then.
Yeah, that was their first car out.
Wow.
It was Paul's Speed Star, and so I'm really good friends with Wayne and Pam McGriff, M&M Hot Rod Interior, and so I was visiting them. I think it was spring break, my last year at McPherson, and they were telling me about Jesse and how they just won a Riddler, and they probably could use some help, and so I just went by there, talked to Jesse, and so I had 3 jobs on the table when I graduated McPherson, and I went to work for Jesse because they were building some really cool stuff, and they had a guy there named James Newman that was a really, really good fab guy. Of course, Jeff's a hell of a body man, and Jesse's just brilliant.
We don't tell him that.
And Jesse's just a brilliant mind when it comes to this. I just thought it'd be a good place to, kind of set some roots in and get to know those guys and get to know how they do things. And,
so how was it working with Jeff? Really, I've worked with them on some weekends and stuff. And Jeff, I don't know if he just purposely hassles me, but I remember I thought I was saving time because I took the roll of sandpaper from the cabinet over to the car because I was working on the ground. And Jeff's not going to listen to this. He doesn't even know how to operate the internet. He's worse tech than I am. And he's like, what'd you take that paper over there for? And I was like, because I'm using it right there. And he thought I was using too much paper. He's like, there's a reason it's across there, so you'll think twice before walking all the way across the shop to get the paper. If you have it by you, it's just, and I had a shop. That's when I moved down here like a weekend in between filming the TV show. I would go help Greenings if she wasn't in Nashville. And before I got my shop settled down here, and so there was one time, like I think for Christmas that year, I bought him a couple rolls of sandpaper and took it to him just to mess with him. Yeah.
Well, that's the little things you learn by working with people that's done it for a long time.
Oh, and still, you go to somebody's shop and help on a thrash or something. Everybody has a little bit of a system, and sometimes you might still. After 30 years of doing this, you might look, I like what they're doing there. And it's like, oh, yeah, I kind of like my way better. And it's like everybody does it slightly different.
100%. Jeff was the best I'd ever seen at keeping his Bondo area clean. Like you don't scrape your paddle on the can of Bondo. Everything's neat, everything's clean. And he's right. You do a better job when everything's neat and clean and not just scattered all over.
All the shops I've been to, he was one of the ones that I'd seen that do that. And of course, Zane Cullen at Cotati Speed Shop on how they take care of their, like, I just leave the Bondo on the soft spreader and I'll just pop it off later. No, at Zane's, you got to clean it with thinner. He has like the same 5 Bondo cards, Bondo spreaders for like years. And I was like, dude, I just buy a box of them. I go through them. So
I think I had the same, I don't know what it was. It was a plastic knife kind of thing. I used that to scoop out filler, I know, for 15 years. The same one. And that come from Jeff Greening, So, yeah, I really enjoyed my time at Greening's. I worked there for about a year and a half.
What projects were you working on when you were there?
Ken Zappa's 40 or 41 two-door sedan Willis. It was a 4-door sedan.
That maroon one?
Yep, the maroon one.
I still even though Jesse's built a lot of stuff, man, that's still one of my favorite cars that Jesse's built. Of course, I love Roots blowers and all that. That was just a good car, man.
Yep, and then we painted a car for the people that own Specialty Power windows and wipers, a 56 Chevrolet. Did a lot of work on that car. And then, Fuller. I can't remember his first name. I think the guy's passed away. But it was another Speed Star. The Silver Speed Star. I did all the
just a couple days ago on Instagram. Yeah.
Yep. I did all the metal work in the trunk and the gas filler and all them removable aluminum panels and all that stuff in the trunk of that car. But yeah, those were the main three things I worked on while I was there.
So when you left Greenings, then where did you go?
I landed at Neil Lee's at Rods and Restos.
Yeah, that's one of the times I remember the 4-door. We was a Good Guys Columbus. We were pulled over. We were driving our copper and black shoebox. We overheated getting in Indy.
Yep.
And you guys pulled up. It was cold. It was raining too, wasn't it? And the windows were all steamed up. And we pulled up, and Neil Lee's sitting in the back, and he ain't got no shirt on. I thought he was naked in the back of that 4-door.
I don't remember this at all. Was I there?
I remember where I thought, yeah, you were with. You were probably just sitting in the car pouting because we were late to go to tacos or something.
Could be.
Yeah. That's the first time we really. I talked to you at the show that day, but that was really the first time we kind of really talked.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
I don't remember that at all.
2000. Let's see, when was that?
2003.
3, 4, yeah, something like that.
We took that car to SEMA in 2002, the end of 2002, and then we got the Trendsetter.
I only remember taking that car to SEMA.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think it was either that or your Speedstar. I think it was he remembers it was the Copper Ford, so black and copper.
Yeah, it was definitely the Copper Ford. Yep, I remember. We were all leaving the drag strip, and y'all were on the right side of the road, and we pulled in there to see if y'all needed any help.
That event was a zinger too. Both the Super Chevy and Indy, and I wish they'd try Indianapolis again. I really do, man. That was. I know you can't recreate history sometimes, but man, that was an epic show.
That was the Good Guys show to go to. I mean, that's where everybody debuted everything.
Right.
And Boyd himself, he only went to like 3 events. Scottsdale was one, and like West Coast Nationals in Pleasanton, where Boyd showed up to do the Boyd's Pro Picks and shake everybody's hands. And yeah, I remember. Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, those were some good days right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're at Neil's. What cars were you part of at Neil Lee's place?
So I worked for Neil for about 6 years. So Jesse was about an hour and a half one way, and Neil was 15 minutes down the road. And I was getting married and buying a house and all this stuff. So I kind of landed at Neil's, and we did a lot of stuff over there in 6 years. We did a 36 Ford Roadster, bunch of Tri-5s, the C55, which is the car we had at Indy when I met you for the first time.
Red and silver. Yeah, that's still a heavy hitter car.
Yeah. Man, who is it that owns that car? Man, has a bunch of Brizio built cars. Mumford.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, Mumford owns that car. He bought that car at Barrett Jackson. Cool. Yeah. So we did a 36 Roadster. We did the C55. We did 2 other 55s that were really nice for a guy named Mike Wade and Ron Miller. I actually got one of Mike Wade's cars in the shop right now. We did a 56 wagon that was a grade 8 car and won Custom Rod of the Year with Good Guys, a guy named Gordy Peters. Wedge section, pancake roof. I mean, he was crazy.
He was from Minneapolis area. He was good friends with Ryan Thomas. They owned the Falcon. They knew each other. Yeah.
Yep. That's how I got to know Ryan, was through Gordy and whatnot and Neil. And man, what else did we do?
That's a string of heavy hitter cars right there, man. That's Neil's still building cars. I get asked about Neil a lot, and I still talk to Neil a good bit. We, if he's thrashing on something and needs something, he calls me. Same thing, and we have his girls are really into softball. Matter of fact, one is playing college ball under scholarship, and my daughter plays softball. So, so you're mentioning this. My best friend from Illinois I grew up with, his daughter, how old is Kinley?
11? 10?
She's not in junior high yet.
9?
I don't know. I'm horrible with age.
She's not quite in junior. I mean, she is in softball. He don't have a night for himself because it's pitching practice and travel ball and local ball and all that, man. It's like, I don't remember when when you played football in high school, you like had practice every night. You had a game, and it didn't like totally own your life like it is when you're in sports now, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of dedication. I mean, that's where I was. That's where I was last night, softball. Wednesday nights are my best night. I mean, generally, we live here in the Bible Belt, so Wednesday night and Sundays ain't a whole lot going on other than church.
So, after Neil Lee's place, then did you start your own place after that?
Yeah, 2007. Lined up a couple of jobs. Started in a little shop behind my house now, and a little 30 by 40 shop.
And what was your dad doing
started
then?
there? And
what was he doing then?
He was still working. He was still working for a power company. My mom had had breast cancer and lost her peripheral vision, so she had retired. But dad was still working full time. So started the shop, and honestly, I just thought I was going to be building my dad's buddies' cars. Working on them, and painting them, and not doing just maintenance type stuff. I never really planned on Big Oak turning into what Big Oak has kind of grown into.
So coming out of the box, what was one of your first big projects you remember for a customer that let you got build a car?
The first big one that got any recognition was this red truck, kind of right over my head.
Okay.
The first car I ever did was a 1963 Ranchero with a $15,000 budget. we spent more than that on off the shelf wheels.
Yeah, I had a guy one time. I was in business for at least 10 years by that. I had a guy that had a car. I'm not going to say his name or what the car had. A car, just a 60s GM vehicle, and he had a motor. We were paint, body. Carrie was doing interior, wheels, something else, and it was like a $30,000 budget. And I remember that was when the era when the Ring Brothers had that dark green with that dark gold stripe on it, the 69 Camaro, all the carbon fiber stuff on the nose when carbon fiber was just kind of starting to get, used.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember I went up to Ring Brothers because I was a couple hours away from Ring Brothers. I went up to see their shop and to buy some hinges one time and something else from them. And that car was, not painted yet. They're like, yeah, we're taking this to SEMA. And they're like, there's like $30,000 worth of carbon fiber on the nose of this car in the development. And we had a $30,000 budget on this vehicle that we were building. And then, they got their car done before this one was still going on and, a little slow in the shop. And he messages me. He goes, yeah, I seen that Ring Brothers car at a local, Midwest show. And he goes, man, I just wasn't impressed. I just expect way more out of my build. And at that time, that car was probably a $400,000 car. And I just simply says, well, you're going to be let down. Yeah. It's like your budget, that wouldn't pay for the carbon fiber on the front of that nose. So, yeah, different price points and what people understand what stuff costs is always a learning battle.
So where did Big Oak, the name, where did that come from?
So back when my dad was in high school, we have 80 acres right here that's been in our family since the 1800s. And Hoax Bluff was just kind of a little small kind of farming community, bedroom community of Gadsden. And there was a big oak tree on our property. There's actually several, but just this one, there was just an old field road that went out to it. And everybody in Hoax Bluff, that's where you met up at. If you wanted to go drag race or steam up the windows or drink beer, hang out with your buddies, it was just meet you at the Big Oak. It was just kind of a saying here in Hoax Bluff. And when we started racing, it was Big Oak Racing. That's what we called it. And then so when we started the shop, it was just kind of real easy, Big Oak Garage.
Cool.
Yeah, and as we're talking about the name and everything, you do a pick at the we jump out of it's my ADD. I jump out of series in
You're
order.
all over the place.
Your trophy that you do for your pick, if you give a pick at a Good Guys or the Triple Crown, is a cutoff, and it's got the big oak, so it's a tree stump. It's perfect for the name. It's so perfect.
So there's
yeah.
That's the beginning of one right there.
Yeah, that's cool.
I love them. That's the coolest ever. Yeah. Okay.
So that's where it came.
So he's just starting.
He did that. He did that truck.
Yep.
And that was the technically you said it was a 55 first series, right? Is that?
Yeah. Well, it's really a 54 is what it is.
You told everybody it was a 55 first series because you can't tell the difference. They made that body style before they switched mid-year to what we know is the 55 Chevy truck. So.
Right. So when we first showed that truck, we built it for a guy named Steve Contras. Actually lives 5 miles down the road. He wanted it to be a 54, so that's who we built it for. So when we first showed it, we showed it as a 54. And then I become friends with Dan Duffy. Most of y'all probably know Dan. He owns Dirty Martini. So he wanted. It was when the Tri-5, when Sondels really got the Tri-5 deal going, and he wanted a 55 Chevy truck. So he called, and he was looking for a 55 Chevy truck, and I was like, well, Steve's wanting to sell that 54. I said, you can't tell the difference. I said, the badge has been shaved off the hood, and it's got an open drive shaft, so nobody will ever know. And he goes, well, let me come look at it. So he come and looked at it and bought it. So when Dan bought it, we changed it to a 55. So, yeah. But yeah, that was a good truck. It's kind of a funny story how that truck came about. We had a 48 Ford Coupe in the shop actually it was my first car that was ever shot for Street Rodder magazine by Eric Geiser. Anyway, it was in the shop. It was about finished. And so there's a local guy that does front end alignments, and he called me and he's like, hey, I got a guy here. It's got a 54 Chevy truck. Front end's too wide. I can't really align it. Can he come see you? I was like, yeah, just send him on. So Steve comes to the shop, pulls in the shop. We're in this shop by now. We're in the big shop. And so he just pulls in the front door, and we get to talking, and I'm like, it's Camaro subframe, buy some Narrowday arms, we'll be done. $1,500, you're out the door. And he's seen that 48 Ford Coupe sitting there, and he goes, man, I just got this truck out of a shop out of Bristol, Tennessee, and it was supposed to look like that. And I'm like, bro, you're way away from that. And he goes, well, how much it costs to get my truck looking like that? And I was like, man, he's got $200,000 in this truck or in this car. He goes, all right, that's what I want. Pitch me the key. I'll see you later.
Awesome.
But yeah, and the 48 Ford Coupe came out before the truck, and it got shot for Street Rodder, and that was about it.
You're being nice.
And then we debuted that truck, and it got Truck of the Year finalist. Bobby picked it in Nashville for an Alloway pick, which is obviously it's a huge deal for Bobby to pick your stuff in Nashville. And then wound up going to Shades, and had never competed at Shades of the Past before, which everybody now is Triple Crown. So we went to Shades, and getting a top 25 at Shades is always been very, very, very difficult.
I knew that it was a big deal when I lived up north in Illinois because I seen it in the magazine. Street Rodder always covered it for years, and I never made it down in the fall for some reason. We were always building a car for SEMA, it seemed like. But living in Tennessee, we took a car first time and got a top 25, and the Southern people are like, dude, you just don't do that if you haven't been coming to the show, because it's now the Triple Crown is known a little more than Shades of the Past was very well known. But if you win a top 25, especially one of the year awards in the South, that's like winning the Riddler or AMBR. It seriously,
it is. Everybody in the Southeast wants a top 25 in Shades. That's the icing on the cake. So we show up at Shades. Never have ever competed at that show before. I'd went to it ever since I was a kid. So we show up with this truck and the 48 Ford Coupe that Bobby had never seen, and both of them get top 25s. Wow. So our first time we were going to Shades, we got 2 top 25s, and Bobby didn't know who I was, didn't know who my dad was, and back in those days, man, everybody around here, they were, that's pre-picked. They don't blah blah. He don't even look at your cars and all this crap, and I got to tell everybody that was bullshit because he didn't know us from nobody, and we show up and got both of them in the top 25, and Bobby calls it like it is.
Yeah. Speaking of that, the Triple Crown, the first year, a big award-winning car didn't get anything. I mean, last year there was 400 and some cars pulled in for the top 30. So you're not all going to get something. And there's some incredible stuff. And this one guy gets up in Bobby's face afterwards and says, "What am I going to tell my customer? I hauled it all the way from state. And, we've won all this stuff. And I come all the way out here and I get nothing." And Bobby looks at him and says, "Dial the phone. I'll talk to him."
You're right. If you don't get an award that Bobby has something to do with, you go ask him. He'll tell you why.
Yeah, just be ready. If you're going to get your feelings hurt, because Bobby ain't going to sugarcoat it. He'll outright tell you. Yeah.
Nope.
Don't ask him if you don't really want to know.
There was one year we had a 57 out that we built for a big leaguer guy named Russell Branion. Nice car. It was a cool car. And we show up at Shades with it, and I'm walking and looking at the cars, and I'm counting, top 25, and there was 8 grade 8 cars that year. 8. It wasn't all from one year. It was mixed within a couple of years, but there were 8 grade 8 cars that year. And I get back, and Dad goes, "Well, how's it look?" I'm like, "We're out. There ain't no way." And so after it was over, I went up to Bobby, and Bobby was like, "Man," I'm like, "Dude, you ain't got to say nothing to me. I'd hate to pick top 25 out of that bunch."
So along this time, does your dad have anything else at this time other than the 56 4-door? Does he have a hot rod right now, or I know he's got some couple now, but what did that still have?
At that time, I'm trying to remember. I think at that time we were still rolling the 56 4-door. We had redone it as what you remember it being. I think that's all we had at that time was that 56. And then I had a 46 Chevrolet Fleetline that was Steely's, wide whites, flat black, what I could afford at the time, But yeah.
It's okay. After you go to Shades, that's what some people don't realize, that Shades of the Past had been going on for, what was it, 30 years or something? Maybe more, 40? I don't know. And then Hollywood renewed the contract, and half the club disbanded, and Bobby still wanted to do a show, and the magazines were involved, so that they called the major awards the Triple Crown. So they just continued it and just changed it and dropped the Shades because that was a car club. And so the Triple Crown's definitely, it's a new show-ish, but it's got a lot of history, especially in the South.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. Yeah, so Dirty Martini won the last Triple Crown at Shades of the Past.
Okay, and that one, we talked about this today, it won the Street Cruiser Award?
It won Custom of the Year for good guys.
At Shades, they have Street Rod of the Year, Street Machine of the Year, and the Street Cruiser. I always tell them
Street Cruiser.
They need a new name for that. Cruiser. I think it should be Custom Rod, but maybe it's trademarked with Custom Rodder magazine, and they don't want to do what Good Guys calls Custom Rod. So So yeah, go ahead and tell what Dirty Martini won.
Chip Foose picked it at the Grand National Roadster Show for the Sam Foose Memorial Award. Won the excellence.
The billet pencil. That's the coolest.
There it is.
That's one of the coolest awards. And I didn't see him hand out a billet pencil this year, but he picked the car. But yeah, that's a bitchin' award right there.
Yeah, it's that's why it's sitting on top of the desk.
You won Good Guy Run of the Year. You won $1,000 at the Tulsa Starbird Show.
Yep. We won $10,000 at the Birmingham World of Wheels for the Von Early Memorial Award. Of course, Triple Crown, won Triple Crown. God, man, there was so many things.
So that car,
it won. That's what got me Trendsetter of the Year. That's what got me GM Builder of the Year. Okay. It just kind of blew the roof off.
That car. Allegedly, I was on the judging team at Tulsa for many years for the money down there. And that show is notoriously kind of a custom car is going to probably win that money. I'm not involved in the judging down there anymore, and we went to the team and we all like, okay, go look at the cars, come back with, after we already did it's a fine 9 there, and then they give $10,000. It used to be $20,000 the first time we were in it. And, the old school custom guys that are on the judging team, and they're like, we can't have a Pro Tour car win. I go, what are you talking about? They're like, look at all the billet on it. I go, if you don't think that's a custom, go back, cover the wheels up if you're that close-minded, and then re-look at the car. And the one old guy comes back and he goes, oh my God. I go, and look at the build book. Don't just walk by the car. I mean, that thing's wedge sectioned and channeled and everything, and a hand-built roof. I go, it's as custom can be. It's a modern custom, but that car is. I mean, you've built a lot of good cars, but that car was stupid good, dude. Stupid good. Yeah.
Well, we're going to change a couple of things on it and start driving it a little bit, and it'll look like a 60s custom when we change the wheels on it.
And that was built for Dan Duffy that we talked about earlier. Yep,
double diesel.
He's a trip. He's a fun dude. But before that, right? Yeah, you did the Mopar.
Yep,
those up on the wall behind you. Yep. And that was a grade 8. That did very well for you too. That was a serious car.
Yeah, that was a serious car.
Who did you build that one for?
It just, a guy named Willie Mays. He lived 5 miles down the road as well. Wow. A little town called Glencoe, Alabama. And but yeah, that was that's a pretty cool story too. Willie and my dad worked together, and he wanted a hot rod, and so anyway, he told me one day we were going to build him a hot rod, and I was like, all right, cool. And he come in and he's like, all right, I bought a car. And I was like, all right, what'd you buy? He said, a 65 Dodge Dart. And I was like, oh, God.
I like them even. I'm a weirdo, though. I like them.
Yeah. I was like, what are we going to do with that, And I told him, I'm like, Willie, we can't start on it for 6 months. Let's just get it here and let me look at it. I don't even really know what they look like. And so we went and got it, drove it from his house to here, done burnouts in the driveway. It was a nice car. And matter of fact, when we took the door panels off, the plastic was still behind the door panels. Yeah, it was a nice car. And so anyway, we studied it and figured out that everything had a backwards motion to it, and had this huge overbite. It was just really a very ugly designed car.
I'd say I like them. I'd say they were awkward. The styling was very awkward. That's like Larry Erickson would say a car is awkward looking when he doesn't want to say it's ugly.
Well, it was definitely named wrong because it was nothing like a Dart. I mean, it was it wasn't good. So we were like, man, we need to give this car a forward motion. We need to make it look like it's running 100-mile-an-hour sitting still. And so we stretched the wheelbase and shortened it and chopped the top and flush fit the glass and, just changed the wheel well openings. I mean, that car, we actually had more man hours in the Dart than we did Dirty Martini. Because a 61 Impala is a good looking car. You don't really have to change much on it. We're a Dart. I mean, we changed everything. We probably had 300 hours in just getting the quarter glass to roll up and down because we shortened it 2 inches right there. But we left the quarter glass a little bit about the stock width lengthwise because we wanted the seal to be on the quarter glass, not on the door glass like they did on the factory. So getting all that stuff to go down in there, and man, had to build our own tracks and everything. It was just that car was a challenge.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realize. It's like, oh, I want you to chop my top, and it's like, okay. And if they don't got if they're going to do it themselves, it's like, okay. And the garnish moldings? No, I think I can do that. It's like, no, you want the guy doing the metal do the garnish. Garnishs are harder than you think they are. And it's like, what about glass and tracks? Oh, I'll do them. And if the shop does that, just that little bit, 9 times out of 10, that person either going to sell that project before it gets done, or they're going to bring it back and have the shop do the tracks because it's just as much work. It's just not. I mean, it's satisfying when you get the windows to roll up and everything, but it's not like, oh my God, I just did that roof. It's like, oh, I just did this garnish mold. It's a little bit less, wow.
Glorious.
Yeah, less glorious.
Well, what people don't understand, the outside part is the easy part. Like Dirty Martini, that car was reverse wedge section. So you're not just talking about the outside. You've got to redo all the inner structure, and you got to keep the car structurally sound so it's not going to move and bend and all that other stuff. And that's the hard part is the inside part that you've got to modify. Garnish moldings, garnish moldings aren't easy to cut up.
Yeah. That's why every used 32 Ford project you buy has no garnish moldings with it.
I think Poteet had them all.
Yeah. That motor.
So after
you did it at Detroit, got a grade 8. Right.
Yeah.
And then did that win Customer Out of the Year also that year?
No, it was a top 5 for Street Machine of the Year.
Street Machine.
Yeah. It won Street Machine of the Year at Shades of the Past, which was would have been Triple Crown a couple of years after that when they changed it. But yeah, that car was really the car that kind of put us on the map, and people kind of really started recognizing what we could do. And then we followed up that car with this gold 32 sedan that done really well as well. It was a good car.
Wasn't that top 5 hot rod of the year?
Well, it depends on it depends on who you talk to. That was kind of an odd deal. Online, it was, but on the show field, it wasn't. So I don't know.
I remember that. And you own. You got that car back. You own that, right? Or did for a little bit?
Yeah, I will eventually. Yeah, when Dr. Dave goes on to his afterlife,
that's a bitch.
It'll
it's
become
a killer car.
So
killer car.
I've had it since the last Shades of the Past.
Oh, okay.
So, yep, it's sitting out there right now.
And then about the same time you built the gold sedan, you built the blue Chevy GMC truck that's above your head on the wall too, right?
Correct. Yeah, it came out the year after the gold sedan. That truck done really well.
You debuted that at SEMA?
No, we actually debuted it in Louisville. We only got to show that truck 4 times. We debuted it at Louisville in Exalta's booth, then went to Shades, done well at Shades, then went to Texas Good Guys, got Truck of the Year finalist, and then we went to SEMA, and that truck is what won the classic vehicle of the year from GM Design.
Oh yeah. Forgot about. I knew it did well at SEMA. So, and that's a killer truck. I mean, everything is, but that's not a truck that people say, I want to build a truck. That's kind of an oddball body style for somebody to choose to do that truck.
Right, and it kind of feels like that's kind of our niche is a little bit of oddball stuff, which is cool. I like doing oddball stuff. Man, one of my favorite things to hear people say about the Dart and that truck was, man, I don't really like a '65 Dodge Dart, but I sure do like this one.
Kind of like one of our past guests, the great Roger Berman, man of few words. One year when they used to give Good Guys Custom Rod of the Year away at Des Moines, he had a chopped hard top. This was like early 2000s, mid 2000s, Mercedes lights. It was that era. And they do the interview before they gave the winner. I don't think he won, but he was in the top 5. They're like, what'd you do to that? And Berman speaks to the microphone as well. We got out the turd polish and we rubbed on it for a while. That was his explanation on that car, because they totally changed what a Henry J looked like, which I like Henry J's too. So
yeah, Berman's won about everything there is to win.
Yeah, that's a good podcast that we got Berman to do it through Carrie and Berman's wife. We got him to sit down, and
he agreed to do it in Des Moines. It wasn't much.
And he wasn't drunk either.
No,
So it was pretty good. Yeah, getting Berman on. So.
I like Roger Berman a lot.
Guy.
So he's one of those guys that when I was growing up, that you liked everything he built, and he was just one of those elite builders that was just had it figured out,
and never a big shop. I don't think he's ever had more than 3 dudes in there, maybe 4. I forget. Yeah, just a hustler, just a worker, man.
He is definitely a hustler. So, and then let's see. After the 42 truck was
so that's a 42, and that's the same. Is that the same body style as what? What years did they?
46, 7, 40. 42.
Was a hard fight because that was war era when they weren't doing many vehicles with a 40. We tried doing a suspension for somebody once, and it was like a 45, and it was a mix of 41 and 46 stuff because of the war era and all that. So if you needed something, it's kind of hard to get stuff for a 42, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough. It's real tough. And the guy that we built it for, he was born. I think he was born in 42. That's why he wanted a 42. So that truck's actually for sale. So anybody looking for a really nice, really, really nice running, driving 42 Chevy truck, let me know.
Cool. Yeah, I was born in 71, and I know nothing from 71 that I want to build.
I was 75, and there's nothing from 75 I want to build either. Nope.
Okay, so after that truck, what was next in the line?
That's what I'm trying to think of. What was after the 42?
I'm usually pretty good at remembering this. I'm blank right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it. Was it the black and white 57?
Yeah, I know that was. Yeah, that was after. Yeah, we'll go with that.
And about what year are we at right now?
2020?
That was 2018.
Okay.
That was a good guess.
That was close.
18. Yeah, that'd be about right. So, 18. So, then we had Mark's black and white 57.
One of the best sounding 57s that's been built in the last 15 years. It just sounds so good. Yeah. Of course, I'm a 5.5 guy too. So.
It rattles the windows, he lives in kind of upstate New York, and I told him, I was like, have you seen that commercial where that guy pushes his car out of the driveway and pushes it down the road and then cranks it up so he don't wake all of his neighbors up? I said, that's going to be you. we fired that car up for the first time, and it scared the shit out of everybody in the shop.
Yeah, it's big block, right?
So, Yeah, supercharged big block. That's pretty cool on that car. So it's a Magnuson 2650. That's for like a LS3, and so we made all the crap and made it work on that big block. Man, it's a wicked sounding, wicked running car.
Yeah, it's a great car, and you kind of did a modern interior, but still used the retro, the black and white interior stuff in it. It's a good car.
Yeah, I tried to keep it pretty simple. So yeah, and then then Dirty Martini, and there's been a bunch more in between.
Your dad's got a
we
36 is a Cabriolet, right? That he drives.
36 Cabriolet.
And that's a glass car, isn't it?
It is actually made here in Gadsden. A company called Unique Unique Motorsports, I think. Yeah,
are they still building bodies?
They still got all the molds, but nobody's buying fiberglass stuff anymore. So
I always say they're a 32 chassis, and I was like, I'd totally take I don't want to buy one new. I guess I'm being bad. But I would totally take, sometimes you find an orphaned fiberglass project that they never got done. I would totally take a fiberglass roadster body, prime it, just drive it. You're listening?
Yeah, there's been some out there on Marketplace coming around.
I don't have Marketplace. My Facebook still got hacked like in November. Carrie won't let me help me get it back because it keeps me off of Marketplace.
I have tried and I failed miserably.
Yeah, Facebook don't care. Any hackers out there think they get my Facebook page back? I would love to talk to you.
I let you grab my phone whenever you want.
Yeah, I put stuff on Marketplace for her, so through her.
Yeah, I do. I did take your advice though on when you were here last time, as I was having problems dealing with people. Like, got cash, come today.
Yeah,
that's how we got these chairs. Yeah, I took your advice. I know.
She found some tires for our Duramax today, and I went to the next town and bought some tires this afternoon.
I think it was the day you were here. I got my freaking debit card hacked because I fell for somebody's little scam on Facebook Marketplace.
It took her months to buy these used $100. They were $100, right?
I think they're like $50.
Yeah, these chairs, like she got her account hacked. Just dealing with
awful.
Scammers is ridiculous. So anyway, we get sidetracked a little bit here.
Yeah.
So then
we're about 2000.
Yeah, we were talking about your dad's car that he rolls around in now, and that's a killer car. Has it got air ride on it too?
No, it's
just hammered. It sits really good. I like it. I still love 35 or 6. Those are good cars.
Yeah, we have a tendency of making them a little too low, but they sure do look good.
Lower the better.
That's right. That's right. So. But yeah, there's been a bunch more in between. We did a 51 Chevy 10 Woody. We restored a Model A. We took a restored Model A and put a big Ford motor in it. It still looks original. Man, what else have we done? The Russell Brandon's 57. That car done pretty well for us. I can't remember. I was trying to remember the other day of all the cars we built, and it's tough. I never thought that I would get to a point where I'd forgotten about cars that we built.
I did somebody's podcast. Like, what was your good first customer car? And I blanked. I don't even know because it took me a while to get a good. And I did a lot of paint work and rust repair and all that on vintage cars, but just to get a build going, it took a while to get a good customer to let you do some stuff. That's half the battle. A lot of people don't talk about is getting the trust. You got to do what you can. We always built cars for ourselves to get our name out there, and then we'd cut the hell and build a tube chassis for ourselves and chop a top, and people bring us restoration projects. Hey, kept us busy. So
we did a black.
When did the TV show come in?
So it was like right before COVID was when Courtney called and asked me to be a part of it. So that was 2020. And then having to wait around on COVID and all this bull crap. It took a little while to really kind of get it going.
How many episodes was that season?
I can't remember if we did 10 or 12. Yeah. I can't remember.
And you said that's
kind of a
she just started airing her season 2. She's doing that with Fuller this time, but yeah, there was a good crew on that show that you were doing with her. Was it Jackson Kahn on there?
Yeah, Jackson, RJ, Jesse Spade, Dusty, Pack.
There was some guy who.
Let's see.
Oh, who was he? He seems like he thinks he's famous. Who is this guy? You know he's going to listen to this. Little Mikey Cook. We got to mention Little Mikey Cook, as he's a little person, and his hashtag is, if you see it on social media, Evil Midget, and Evil Midget approved is Mikey Cook. He's a trip. He's Steve Cook's son. Steve don't always admit it. Mikey's a trip. He was on a Jackass TV show with Travis Pastrana doing a backflip, and Mikey Cook has lived a heck of a life. And I've hung out with Mikey a lot, and you're like a brother to him. He's a brother to a lot of us, but Mikey thinks, whether he tells you or not, you know, if he's like the Vern Troyer, might hug your kneecaps or something. But Mikey loves you. He speaks very highly, even after work. You know, not everybody does that after they've worked, especially on a TV show, Thrash together. But yeah, Mikey loves Mr. Will Posey. So this is the best. He blames you for this. So at Good Guys, they give a finalist away for the car that they give away every year, and you put your tag in, and you have to stay. It's the last thing they do at the end of the awards. I'm announcing the awards at Texas. You guys just rolled through with a Builder's Choice, or you got something. You go straight to the trailer. Mikey, I seen him in the stands halfway through awards. They draw Mikey's name, and you have to be present. Mikey had left. When you pulled out, Mikey was helping you, and there's no way he could get that. And he's like, Will owes me a truck, because I think it was for the Goolsby Square Body. I think it was that year. It was like, oh yeah, he left like 7 minutes too soon from the stands.
Oh yeah. I'm actually picking Mikey up at the airport in the morning, so he's going. We got a little Model A we're trying to get finished up, so he'll come help with that, and then we got Supercross next Saturday.
We'll see you at Supercross.
He's going to come work.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he's going to come work a couple of weeks and then hang out. And of course, St. Patrick's Day's on Monday, so he's bringing his leprechaun costume, and we'll go hit the play on Monday night.
That's surprising. He leaves his local area, because a lot of times bars renting to dress up like a leprechaun. And yeah, they do. They pay him to come.
You don't rent a person. You hire a person. You don't rent somebody.
I have a friend that he says he rents girls sometimes, but I think that's different. But
yeah, that's different.
I know. We know Mikey. We're going to say
you hire him.
We're totally going to say Mikey gets rented. Mikey gets rented.
Rentmidget.com.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye out for you at Supercross. We'll throw popcorn at Mikey or something.
Yeah.
So I've been in the shop a few years ago. Power Tour came right by in front of your shop, and you guys were having like a yard party, and I stopped by then. I think that was maybe my first time I stopped. I've been there quite a few times. I know sometimes you can't say what's going on. You just said you were finishing a Model A, and I know some other stuff you can't tell. There's secret stuff, but you got some really good stuff going on in there. So anything else you can talk about than the Model A?
Well, we've actually got two Model A's. We're going to be bringing out a Model A at Rod Run. We'll be debuting it with Scotty D with a Dirty Dozen. And then we got another Model A that we're going to be debuting at Grand National Roadster Show next year for the Slaughter.
I knew about that, and I thought that was supposed to be kept secret. But yeah, it's incredible. It's really cool.
We hadn't put pictures of it out there
it's
yet.
Really,
so, we'll probably start throwing. Yeah, we'll probably start throwing some build photos of that thing out here in the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, because you can show. So it's kind of like you can show construction pictures, but nothing painted for Sloniker. Is that correct?
I think you can show stuff painted, but you just can't show it like in its finished state. Like you can't show the car finished. because I know Troy Ladd had showed that chassis underneath the Gaunt Coupe. I think it was pretty much completed at Grand National the year before it actually won Sloniker. Which
Cody
is,
Walls, he didn't win the Sloniker this year, but his 32.3 window, he was posting little like detail, like here's the pinstriping, little teasers, so you could kind of see the. He might have put it black and white, but yeah, you just can't show all those big indoor stuff. There's always these rules of stuff, and like I think like Detroit even says you can't text somebody your picture. Like, how do you build a car if you got a guy machining an intake for you? How do you not text about it?
right.
I mean, obviously they're just doing it so you don't blame. Oh, I texted Carrie and Carrie shared it with Will and Will put it on the internet or something. So that's how they protect that. So,
I know the guy that machined the headlights for the Nomad that won this year, and they wanted the headlights to look like the wheels. Well, the wheels were already made, so they sent him a picture of one of the wheels, and that was it. They would not send him a rendering of the car, a picture of the car, nothing. So they really stuck by the rules.
Yeah. Did you go to Detroit this year as a spectator? Yeah, I didn't. It looked like I talked to a lot of people up there. It wasn't a clear runaway car like when Kindig went a year or two ago, but it looked like a really good year for Detroit. It really did. I mean, there's always like, oh, there's 4 I can't choose from, but it looked like a strong year. I mean, I like the Nomad because I'm a Tri-5 guy, but hopefully it comes to the Tri-5 Nationals. So.
I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, we done pretty good with the Nomad a couple years ago, so I like Nomad.
That was last year you had there, right? Or the year before?
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah, we had to stop.
Yeah, you got. It made the top 5, didn't it?
Custom Rod of the Year finally. Yeah, it made top 5 at Tri-5 of the Year. Yeah.
So talk about that. I know those people from going to the Tri-5s, and what you built them was not what I was expecting because they've got their other cars are nice, but I think they got a brown 55 with like 15s on it. Beautiful car, but looks like it was built in 1986. Beautiful car. Been in the top 25 there.
Right.
And when you say I'm building, tell the chassis and the motor and all that is like it's not what I was expecting from them.
Yeah, they kind of let me go free with it, and they wanted it black and they wanted a brown top, and basically everything else they kind of let us go along. And they had a ZR1 Corvette at one time, so that's what kind of prompted the LT5, which is, I mean, pretty cool because now that motor is basically obsolete. So yeah, that was a good car. I really enjoyed showing that car last year with Jerry and Melinda too. They're awesome to hang out.
Yeah, she always gives me a hug. Says, "How you doing, Jason?" She never remembers my name's Tim. I'm Jason to her, and I was like, I just let her go. I was like, okay, there's been worse things. I mean, Carrie calls me worse things just before noon usually. So
sometimes,
sometimes. But yeah. Dude, that car going down the drag strip, it would move. That car will move.
Yeah. Air ride on that, right? Yeah.
Yep. Air ride, Morrison chassis. We made it a unibody like we did Dirty Martini. Interior was done by Ricky Howard. And, it was a good car. It was. Nomads are tough cars to build too. Wagons in general are tough, and then you put a 55 Nomad in there with all the, 55 Nomad only stuff, and but it was a really, really good car when we started on it too. So that makes a big difference.
Carrie's on a wagon kick. She wants a wagon. My dad's got a 56 Nomad that'll be mine someday, but it's just a cool driver, and I'd like to chassis swap it someday, but just keep it a cool driver.
Yeah, we're fixing to get started on a 57 210 hardtop.
Oh, cool.
Well, technically, we started it last week.
Cool.
So
is there anything that you would like to build, either for yourself, you and your dad have talked about, or for a car that you would like to? Like, I've got my dry race board. I've got 3 cars listed that I want to build before I die, and they don't have to be mine, but I want to build them for me or a customer that lets me loose a little bit. Every builder has at least 20 that they want to build, but give us one without giving too many details so nobody steals the idea.
Man, I'm really pretty kind of simple. What I really want in my garage before I leave is just a traditional custom 36 Ford 3-window, and I'll be a happy man.
It's a good one.
So, yeah, that's always been my kind of thing. Is I've loved 36 Fords forever, and a 3-window's just to me one of the prettiest cars that's ever been created by man.
Did I tell you that I had one for sale? Well, we did. The customer had to stop it. His daughter got sick, so we had one stopped, and he ended up selling it and went to East Coast. Yeah, it was a rough. I mean, it had good doors, good fenders. The 3-window body was so bad when we stripped it, we got a 5-window and barely got the new quarter panels shortened and tacked on before. But it had all new chassis, Hemi, and all that. But he kept some of the other stuff. But yeah, I let some people know. Next time I come across one, I'll let you know.
All right. And then my Blazer that I drove in high school, I still have it. So I'm going to build it. That'll probably be the next thing I build for myself is my Blazer.
And you got a cool deal. You got a lowered OBS 2-door Tahoe too, right?
That's my daily driver's 96 2-door 2-wheel drive Tahoe.
She just told me this. We were down at Greenings for the open house when the Roadster Shop guys were down there last week, and there was one sitting on the showroom. I go, I would like to have one of them. She goes, oh, I would daily one of those. So anybody has a cheap 2-door OBS Tahoe, let us know.
I don't know if them words go together.
Those two don't go together.
Dude, I had a buddy in Oklahoma that just sold a run and drive and original paint. Paint was a little checked out on it, lowered on billets for $10,000
in an hour.
And he goes, I go, dude, that was too cheap. He goes, well, that's why it only took an hour and a half for somebody to send me money.
Yeah. So
I actually bought.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I bought mine before they went crazy,
Yeah.
So I give $35 for mine, and then lowered
That's what
it.
I paid for my regular cab short bed. About a year and a half before they went nuts, I went to South Carolina and bought mine.
So, me being from the events industry, I have 2 questions for you. Question number 1:
All right.
What is your favorite event that you go to all the time?
Grand National.
All right. And what is one event that you've never been to that's on your list?
I got 2.
It doesn't have to be America. It can be anywhere.
Wherever.
Right. One of them is the Super Nationals in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one is the Moon Eye Show in Japan.
We just did a podcast that's up today this will be 3 weeks from what we're recording this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our podcast that went up today was our 1-year anniversary, just me and Carrie. And we talked about each one of us picked 5 that we like to go to each year, and then we picked 4 or 5 that we want to go to. And Moon Eyes, especially, we almost got to ship a car there once, but having Dave Shutton on and talking about, that's just one I don't miss. Yeah, we definitely need to get a whole crew together and go to Japan 1 year in December.
That'd be fun.
Oh, I agree. We go with Dave, we'll have a good time, that's for sure. And the real close second is Triple Crown.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If I could only go to 2 car shows a year, it'd be Triple Crown and Grand National Roadster Show.
Yeah, those were in my 5 of not miss. Mm-hmm. Those. Yeah, every year, me and my buddies, we talk, because she's always out at King of the Hammers working, and we start talking about finding a house and all that. And she's like, "You're going to the Roadster Show again?" Yes. She's not an indoor car show person.
Not at all.
She hurt her back carrying carpet rolls one time and got a pinched nerve. And I have 2 cars that I'm in line that I have the cars, and one's half started that I want to take, to Pomona, but they're custom, so I want to go to Sacramento for one of the big custom things up there. And she's like, yeah, you can go without me. So
indoor shows are just too people-y.
It's too people-y.
Yeah.
Too people-y.
I just don't like a lot of people in confined areas.
Yeah, the Roadster Show is just. I have been 5 days in Southern California. That's enough for me. I can get back to Tennessee, but going out, and going to all the open houses and stuff, it's just cool. Especially being a Midwest kid, I never thought I'd go to California. But.
Right, it's the culture, and I'm a true car guy. I like lowriders. I like 4-wheel drive trucks. I like motorcycles. I like everything. And so, to me, that's what makes the Grand National Roadster Show the best show, is because it's indoor and outdoor. You get to see super high end, cars competing for Amber and Slonaker. But then again, you can walk outside and see the lowrider club from just down the road, and man, they're having best time of their life, and they welcome you.
I think of all the industry, I think the lowrider guys have the best community and friendship of. And I love lowriders. I love lowriders and lowrider paint. I love them, man. Yeah.
Same here.
So we talked about.
Same here.
We talked about what you've got going on in the shop, what you're doing. You're starting to, or you have been over the last year, dabbling a little bit more in autocross. So talk to us a little bit about what you've got going on down there with that.
Yeah, so 3.5 years ago, I'm trying to think. Yeah, we're starting our third. I think we're starting our fourth season.
It's called.
Yeah, we're starting.
Not far from the shop. It's called Grip Autocross, and you guys do a lot of cool stuff for the community. Like, what was it? You just got back when I stopped by. One day, I just surprised you, and you raise money through that for scholarships. Tell about what you do with that's the super cool part that I think you're doing.
Yeah, so Grip Autocross, it's a nonprofit 501c3 autocross deal that me and a good friend of mine, Wes McBrayer, started 4.5 years ago. And the thing we do is we race all year, and then at the end of the year we give a scholarship away to an individual that's wanting to go into the automotive field. So that's really the only requirement. We're teamed up with the Gadsden State Community College here, and they have an awesome machining program, mechanics program, body shop program, and then design programs and stuff like that too. So anybody going into that field can apply for our scholarship. We don't care about GPA. We don't care how old you are. We don't care if you're male, female. We don't care. If you have a passion for cars, that's what we're looking for. The guy that received the scholarship this year actually works part-time at the shop.
Oh, cool.
So, it's pretty cool how a lot of that stuff has worked out, and really have a lot.
We're going to start a new segment of 30-ish and under builders, industry people, paint body, enthusiasts. And that's what we talk, you got to give back to these people, because there's less of the kids that want to do what we're doing, and we got to make sure that it continues on. So supporting that next generation I think that's one of the coolest things you're doing. I mean, you're building bitchin' cars, but you're helping that next generation get into this and have access. If they can't afford to go to school, they can get a little help.
Right. Yeah, I have, I'm trying to think, three guys under 30 working at the shop.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. How many guys you got total there at Big Oak now?
We have 12, 13 including myself.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Well, you have a dog that runs around there too. Does he count?
Oh yeah. Well, we got 2 dogs, so we got Lenny and Rufus. So
awesome.
I think you met Rufus. I don't know if you've met Lenny yet.
Yeah, Rufus was a puppy when I stopped by. So there's another puppy set.
Yeah. No, so I brought a guy back that worked for me back in the day that done all the metal work to Dirty Martini, Cameron Weekly. He'd went to another shop for a little bit closer to home, and anyway, he asked. I think it was kind of a mutual thing. I really needed somebody, and I think he was wanting to build higher end cars and do some more metal fab from the shop that he was at. So it just kind of worked out for both of us.
I don't know where he went, but it doesn't matter. But when you go from building a car like Dirty Martini and then go into just I don't want to say a mid-level shop. I mean, there's a lot of shops out there that just build good drivers, cruise night cars, and the guys do very good and make a good living. But if you want to create and you have that artist mentality in you, it's once you build part of a team like Dirty Martini, you want to just keep creating killer stuff like that. It's the artist mentality.
Yeah. The shop he went to, I actually helped him get a job there, and they do really, really, really nice work. The guy that owns the shop is more of a paint and body guy, so cutting a car in half and shortening it and narrowing it and doing all this stuff it's not really his thing. So they do, I mean, some of the best paint and body work you've ever seen before in your life, and has had some cars that have been successful. And Tim, you know this as well as I do. Getting these guys to get in your shop that'll spend $1 million on a hot rod, it's almost dumb luck that they just find you.
I've never had that luck. I'm lucky to build some really good cars, but I've never had the budget where I say, "Hey, let's go to the Slonica or go to Detroit." I don't know. I'd like to do an AMBR car, maybe. I don't really know if I care to do a Slonica type or a Riddler type car. I don't know. Just
it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
And like us, we don't do everything in house. We don't have a machine shop. We don't have 3D printers, scanners, and all this stuff. So you're relying on other people, which is always a little stressful. And then you explain it to the customer the best you can, and sometimes they don't quite understand exactly why we're doing what we're doing. Why we spent $25,000 for a bezel for the gauges. So there's a lot of stress in building cars to that level, and I wouldn't want more than one of those type of cars in the shop at one time. It just takes so much out of you, and so much focus is on that one build. And you got to have more than one guy on it. You can't, all these cars that are competing for these awards, if they're built in less than 5 years, they've had 3 or 4 guys on them almost the whole time. Yeah. At least 2
and in the
three,
last 2 months, there's 20 people. They've flown in from all over the country. Yeah.
So I think we're going to be good on the Model A for Slonaker next year. It's about ready to start slinging mud on the body and the chassis and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so a lot of the little things are already body worked and ready to paint and stuff like that. So I'm praying that we don't come down to that mad thrash at the end.
They always do. Yeah.
Well, luckily for me, the guy Ted that owns the car and George, his kind of partner in the whole deal, man, they're taking care of the display and all that stuff. I don't really have to worry about that too much. I mean, we're painting some of it and doing some work to it, but fortunately for me, the customer on this car understands what we're doing. They've had indoor show cars before, and they get really the full picture of what we're trying to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, that Slonaker show, man, it's, again, the last, handful of years, they put 12 in there in the next building, kind of like they do 12 amber contenders in the building, building 4. And you got $12,500. ARP stepped up. They go, your name goes on the revolving trophy or the display trophy forever. But they've been giving the Slonaker away a long time. But they've just stepped it up, it used to be just like, kind of like an indoor ISCA show. A Cassie Cup is the best of show, basically non-Riddler or non-whatever of their big. That's kind of what the Slonaker was craftsmanship, engineering, ingenuity, but they just decided with ARP's help to blow it up. And man, I know I've judged shows at indoors and outdoors. I do not envy those Slonaker judges. Like this year, it was. I mean, all of them, I don't know if they quite had 12 in there. They have 10 or 11 or something maybe, but everyone in there was, and they're just, if you're an amber judge, you're judging oranges against oranges, basically. They're all roadsters and 37-ish and older. But, I mean, this year at the Slonaker, was it that 34 Pontiac that won? The Colorado one. Yep. I forget the guy that built for Myers on the East Coast, the Bugatti looking 32 was incredible.
Yep. Oh yeah.
The Volkswagen thing that Ron Jones Garage built from nothing, the off-road inspired, like one of the judges says, and it is incredible. And then the Ironworks car, which just the machine work and the, just man, I don't know how that was a hard job for those guys. That was a hard job for those guys this year.
And then you had the 32 GMC that Roseville built. I mean, that thing was.
Yeah. I forgot that was in the Slonaker. Yeah.
But yeah, those. And then you had that 46.7 lowrider flower truck delivery thing,
and then there was a Pantera.
Yep, Pantera.
And that, I call him a kid. He's probably 40 now. I knew him. His dad built Pro Street cars in Illinois and like Grand Champion, Pro Street cars. And they moved to California, and the craftsmanship in that thing was incredible. Allen's his name. We showed by him with the 54. They had second gen. No,
I don't remember what I had for dinner yesterday.
Great. Yeah, I can't either, but I can remember a car from. I can't remember somebody's name, but I can remember the last 3 cars they built. Kind of a nerd that way. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Carrie, the autocross deal, that was just something that kind of came up. Me and Wes McBrayer was sitting behind our cars at a car show going, we need to be using our cars, not just sitting behind our cars. And I had, it opened my eyes to a whole different car world.
Dude, me too. With announcing autocross, I've got to be friends with people. I go to Good Guy Show and watch a couple of my friends that I knew that I might watch 10 laps and I go back to the car show. Now me over there announcing, man, there's, it's basically a standalone event. The autocross can stand on its own, and there's a lot of awesome people. And again, somebody breaks down, most of the people's going to help them. It's the camaraderie. And so, do you drive a car yourself, or you just help put the event on?
Yeah, I do. I drive. I started autocrossing when we started Grip.
What do you drive?
I'm still. I've got a Corvette. I've got a C4 Corvette.
Yeah, Corvettes are really good. I'd say the 2 widest ones of all the events that I go to, and at least a starter car, and you can update endlessly, is the Miata and the Corvette. Yeah. You ain't going to fit in a Miata very well, but
I've raced a Miata at an event or two, like when my car.
They're a fun little car, aren't they?
They are fun. They're fast and they're hard to beat. In the autocross world, the funny little thing is the answer is always Miata. And unfortunately, I've been beat by a Miata in my Corvette, but I've beat a lot of Miatas myself. So. But yeah, I chose a C4 because of the short wheelbase and the wide body, and I like small block Chevrolets, so it was just a good fit for me. But yeah, it does pretty well.
Awesome. And when do you guys have like you said in your series? So do you have like a normal night of the week you race, or weekend, or what's your season look like?
So we run once a month. Supposed to start. Well, we start every year with what we call the School of Grip, and the first year we did it, it was just all novices, but now we've kind of upgraded it to where we have 2 different schools going on at the same time. One's an advanced and one's the novice. And it sells out in less than 24 hours every year. I mean,
that's awesome. They're going to do that like at some of their events, but some events at Good Guys Sundays aren't the greatest. We might have 15 cars, and I think that they should keep one of the main drivers, pay him a little bit, give him some hotels or something. Say, hey, for your new people, come Sunday, we're going to have Kyle Tucker, Ryan Matthews, Chris Smith, somebody like that, teaching you and helping you, because people want to do it, but sometimes they're scared they're going to get embarrassed.
Yeah, School of Grip. That's right. So we start off every year with our School of Grip, which was 3 weeks ago. And we're supposed to have our first event Saturday, but it's not looking real good.
Yeah, we do, don't we?
We've got some pretty major thunderstorms that's supposed to be developing Friday night during the day on Saturday. So
is there,
it ain't looking real good.
Social media page
event.
for Grip Autocross, or a website where
is.
people can go check this out and get the schedule and where it's all at?
Yeah, gripautocross.com, and then Grip Autocross on Facebook.
You're not doing
Instagram
on TikTok,
and TikTok.
Are you doing a?
So we've got a decent little following.
Yeah, the steering wheel dance. Yeah.
No. I do enjoy TikTok, though. I'm not going to lie.
My 76-year-old dad watches TikTok every night for at least 15 minutes before he's supposed to sleep.
Getting ready to go.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
There you go. And one of the cool things that's happened with Grip this year is we've actually been asked to do some other events for other shows like Battle in Bama. We're going to be doing an autocross at Battle in Bama this year. Got a pretty decent little payout. We'll be making that announcement maybe tomorrow.
Awesome.
Make the announcement of how much we're going to be giving away and everything. So we're going to do. Hell, I'll go ahead and tell you, we're going to do $1,000 per class for the winner, $250 for second place, and we're going to have 4 classes. So it's going to be big tire car, small tire car, and then like kind of an all-out race truck kind of deal. And then
that's a really neat event. I went
stock chassis truck.
First time last year they hired me to do some MC work. They're bringing me back this year. Did you ever go to Battle in Bama when it was down on the water? Yeah.
Never did. It was always really neat weekend. Is something else.
The awards take a little long. It's 2.5 hour awards because they give so much stuff away. But man, they give some good stuff away. The 2 of the best stuffs get a toolbox. Kind of like Triple Crown. They do a lot of fundraising for charity. It's a fun event. Really fun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've become pretty good buddies with Craig over the last year. Doing the autocross deal with them, and it's going to be a pretty special thing. I only know of one other time where they've held an autocross on the infield of Talladega, and it was kind of a closed private event. So if you want to autocross at Talladega Super Speedway,
I was blown away by how nice the infield is at Talladega.
Register. So it's going to be a fun time. Yeah, it's nice. Now 10 years
hangout
ago,
areas and shaded areas and playgrounds for the kids with the soft
and,
rubbery ground, so you don't hit your head and have brain damage like me. I think that's what happened to me as a kid. Yeah.
And they're actually going to open up the grandstands so you can. The autocross is going to be on the apron going into turn 1. So through the tri-oval going into turn 1, there's this huge apron. It's like 1,200 feet by 700 or 800 feet wide. And so you'll be able to get up in the grandstands and watch autocross at Battle in Bama this year.
Cool.
So
I have to tell you, we're really excited about coming down for Cars and Cones.
And then,
thank you for hosting that. That's going to be a super fun event.
Tell everybody when that is.
Oh, yeah.
October 19th through the 25th. So to be determined on which day we're going to be at your place. We're still working that out. Actually, we have a meeting tomorrow, so hopefully we'll be able to get that ironed out. But yeah, super excited to be coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so even like that right there, that's awesome that y'all thought of us to, use our spot for it. I think y'all really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun and pretty good. It's not a huge lot. You're not going to get up to 100 miles an hour. But,
yeah, too much the speeds on some of these racing
70.
events. It scares the beginners, and that's like I announced Good Guys Autocross and some other stuff. There's cones and chalk marks everywhere. If you go to an SCCA event, I don't know how do you guys do it with cones everywhere, or do you do the tipped cones like SCCA?
Nope. We kind of do a combination of both. So we do chalk our courses, but I've never seen a slalom at a Good Guys Autocross. There's generally not enough room to do a slalom, so we don't chalk slaloms. And maybe if we got a Chicago box or something like that, sometimes we'll chalk it, sometimes we won't. But we're very beginner friendly, so we walk the course, as many times as you want to walk the course. 90% of it is always chalked, and that it really helps.
So
just having those
Kevin
white
Cates
lines
has been down to drive at your grip
really,
autocross, right?
Really helps a lot.
KT.
Did he get lost?
Yep, he has.
I remember he was driving at LS Fest one time at NCM, and they're like, "That guy's going the wrong way," and that was like one of the. Kevin did that with no chalk marks of stuff, and it was like, it takes a couple laps to get. When I'm an announcer, I give everybody at least 3 laps before the heckling starts, because some of these tracks it takes a little bit to learn. It does. It does. Yeah.
Yep.
Some of them can be complicated, and we've had some with crossovers and all sorts of stuff where people would turn the wrong way in the crossover. We try to put arrows and stuff where people will know, but we also use pointer cones and stuff like that as well. So to try to help you, if you do want to go run some SCCA, you're kind of familiar with that platform as well. So it's kind of a combination of both. So. And then Sam Madavi actually hit us up about running autocross at Nopi this year as well. So, yeah, we're it's what started off as just kind of a play thing for me and Wes and our friends is kind of turned into another
like you
business.
Say, talking to your buddy, hanging out. It's like there's so much more to all these events and car shows than sitting in your color match lawn chair. I mean, sometimes
nothing wrong with
sometimes
that.
I like to do that. All the events that we work at, I just like to chill by my car, but it is really neat seeing people out there. Like, I love the beginners when I announce autocross, and like the father and son. Oh, they got to bet whoever's fastest, the loser has to buy dinner. You hear all these stories, and I just like to see people having fun. That's the point of life. Just have fun while you're here.
Yep.
We have a group. They're called the Camaro Outlaws, and they're from Northeast Alabama, and they come to just about every one of our events as long as it's not on the same weekend as something that like Camaro Fest in Bowling Green or something like that. They have the most fun. They'll bring 6 cars, 7 cars to every event, and man, you look over there and they're laughing and cutting up and using their Camaros for what they were designed to do is go out and drive them aggressively and have fun. And man, they do have the most fun of any group that comes. And that's another thing. It's like it opened my eyes to. I thought I knew most of the car people in Northeast Alabama. No. When we started autocross, I thought it would be a bunch of guys that I knew. No, it was. I've made a lot more friends.
Walks of life, all backgrounds,
and car friends through autocross.
It's weird because we pay attention and we're involved in so much stuff. And I'm a nerd about everything. I like to pay attention to just car stuff. And there's people that are serious autocrossers that come to a Good Guys show. They don't know who Big Oak is. or Johnsons or Pinkies or Rad Rides or Ring Brothers. Mm-hmm. They don't know it because they're so focused on their autocross. But then I remember the first time I tried explaining autocross to Bobby Alloway, he thinks it's a circus sideshow, which now they're doing autocross at Triple Crown, and he doesn't understand the sponsorship and all that a program can do. Right. And some of them, I'm just going to call Bobby that, the older generation, they just think it's a circus sideshow. And sometimes. But when you get them over there in a car, then they're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." I'll tell you,
when you're watching autocross, it looks kind of slow, but man, you get in a car and you're running 65 mile an hour straight at a fence, and you got to stop and turn.
Yeah, George Poteet, because Hutch that used to work for Poteet,
they get a little excited.
Autocross, and George went more 400 mile an hour plus more than anybody in history combined. All the other people. He goes, Hutch,
our events.
It's not real racing if you can't die. But then on Cars and Cones one year, we stopped at George's the next day in Memphis. They got him out, and he rode in what's his name's the car you called the dumpster.
The dumpster.
Was it a Focus RS?
Mm-hmm.
Focus RS.
I think so.
Put him up, and man, the video of that, George was laughing and carrying on, and he almost admitted that it was real racing. He says that is a lot of fun. He never autocrossed, never rode with anybody, all the racing stuff that he did, but yeah, he always told Hutch, it ain't real racing if you can't die. So.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know anything not autocross, so I guess it's a real race. But it is the safest form of motorsports.
Is RC racing motorsports? I almost think it is, but that'd be pretty safe because you're not actually in a car moving. RC racing, remote racing, or sim racing, yeah.
Sim racing. Oh, RC racing.
Sim racing makes me nauseous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm doing when I get done here. I'm going to go race my sim some. It's crazy the translation from sim racing to any type of racing. It's you don't get the full sensation, but man, you can learn trail braking.
So do you just practice, or do you go on? We got a friend that I helped build his framework for his sim racer. Do you race? You sign up and race against other people online, or are you just practicing with yourself?
I would get absolutely annihilated if I raced. There's a kid that comes to grip. I think he's 17 or 18, and I forgot what their rating numbers are, but he's like up in the high 80s, which is really, really good at iRacing. So yeah, I just try to use it for trying to.
Dude, if you ever
get a little bit better with my footwork more than anything.
Footwork.
So
if you ever get a chance to do a ride along with Robbie Unser, just watch his feet. Oh my, he does that like he's Gumby. He tilts and does the heel toe side to side foot thing. And I've rode with a lot of autocrossers, and only been about him and Allencher Jr. But Robbie's his footwork is incredible. It's like, how do you make your ankle? Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good autocrossers, but Robbie Unser comes from the Pikes Peak racing and of course Indy cars, but the Pikes Peak and dirt track racing, it's a different foot process kind of. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, we talked quite a while here. Is there anything else that you want to add that maybe we missed, or somebody you want to thank? You want to thank your wife, thank your dad, and so does your dad? I see him at the shows. Does he help at the shop, or has he in years? I know he's kind of halfway retired. Like when I stopped, he's like, he's not even here today. Does he help, or did he work there at the shop for years, or pretty much just when he needs something fixed?
Yeah. He he was down here a lot, and like when we were in crunch mode and stuff like that, he was always down here giving us a hand. And one of the most beneficial things he does that I miss dearly is he was our truck driver, man. I mean, he would take stuff to advanced plating, and he'd take cars to interior shops at Tracy Weaver's, and he would haul all the cars to SEMA, and I'd get to fly in. And yeah, he was a huge part of the shop early on. But yeah, he's kind of just stepped back, and he comes to the shop every day. I'm going to see him. He's going to be here every day. He may only be here for 5 minutes, but he comes by the shop every day. Matter of fact, he texted me just a bit ago. They were in Charleston.
So you're
South
a better
Carolina,
son than Jesse Greening is, because Jesse still makes his dad sand body work and all everything still to this day. You're a better son.
If I told my dad that he had to come do body work, I don't know what he would do. He probably just would never come back, But my dad was always more on the mechanical side. He never really was a fabricator. He done some body work and paint back in the day, but he loved building engines and more of the mechanical side. So he was a big part of final assembly, and and I used to lean on him a lot.
Yeah, I love your dad. He's a good dude. I always give him a hug when I see him, and
got a pretty good head on his shoulders.
He pretends like he likes me, but yeah. No, there's some people that don't, but it's okay.
I think everybody does, Tim.
Yeah, but I do love your dad. It's always a pleasure to see him and shoot the crap with him. But yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't be sitting here right now if it wasn't for my parents. I mean, they were the ones that put their name on the dotted line to start Big Oak Garage, and if it wasn't for them,
you wouldn't want to work for me.
You wouldn't want to work. Nobody wants to work
probably working for you, Tim,
including me.
I'm just in there by myself all day long. So you guys all kind of live on the same property, don't you?
Yeah. We all live right here on the 80 acres. I live, 150 yards behind the shop, and
nice.
Mom and Dad kind of live in front of me. So does my sister. So, and every successful car guy that's married has a very, very understanding wife that may not really understand why we do it, but they support us, and the long nights and crazy hours, and taking a trailer all the way to across the country and riding with you, so my wife's very understanding. And
does she roll her eyes at you often when you come up with ideas like my wife does to me?
See?
No, she just
can she reach you? She's a little bitty thing. She's a short thing.
Oh yeah, well, she broke her leg.
Carrie had a broken foot
after Christmas.
Why was it the Roadster show without King of the Hammer? She's just getting out of the walking boot finally. Cool.
It technically took mine off yesterday.
We got her walking boot off yesterday. So
awesome.
And all the guys at the shop, from the guys that don't work here anymore that helped build the Dart, and to the guys that are here today. I mean, if it wasn't for those guys that that came in and believed in what we were trying to do, that's a big deal to me. And then all of our customers that we've had through the last 14, 15 years, it's made a lot of friends, and I try to make every customer a friend.
And you say it takes a special person.
Sometimes that's hard to
cut loose, work with you, have ideas, let you guys create. Anybody that's met Dan Duffy, I don't know if he ate a lot of paint chips as a kid. As my dad would say, that boy's half a bubble off of being level, but he's a lot of fun. He is. I always see it. He's a lot of fun. He won't listen to this because I don't think he understands the internet. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah,
he's very sad.
He has a lot of fun. He's a fun dude.
Oh yeah. Duffy's a very, very smart guy. Hey, there's one car we didn't talk about that I really, really enjoy building, and these people have become really
that's
dear
the car
friends
you
of mine,
wasted
is
time
the
on.
Cadillac Merlot, Don and
Because
Brenda Waters.
the car should have had one bucket seat. Whenever you see that caddy driving through the awards or coming in an event, she is right in the middle of that bench seat, sitting as close as she can to him. I think that's pretty awesome. So yeah, you didn't need the rest of that front seat.
Oh yeah. No, they're great people, and their car turned out really, really good, and
yeah, we always forget something. That thing did good on the show circuit too, didn't it?
Talk about that. I felt I needed to mention.
They got a fine 9 at Tulsa too, didn't it?
It done really well. Yeah, it made fine 9 at Tulsa, Custom Rod of the Year or Custom of the Year finalist, Builder's Choice, basically everywhere it went, and it made the top 30
Nice.
at the first Triple Crown, where there were 400 cars pulled in there.
Yeah, they're really cool people. Weren't you building something else for them, or was that all you built for them? Okay, yeah. I don't know if you've ever met them, but you've probably seen the car. She's always right beside him. So, my wife, I had to build her hot rod for her, so she can be totally in a different car. She doesn't want to be in the same car.
It's that whole people-y thing. I
just like people.
I just like to be in my own little
with her cats.
My own little area. So, all right, we've been talking for 2 hours.
Okay, so they happen to be that way.
Yeah,
so.
We should wrap this up.
So we want to thank Will Posey from Big Oak Garage for being a guest on the Strange Motion Way. Tell everybody where they can see you again online for the Grip Autocross and the Big Oak social media pages.
All right, so Big Oak is bigoakgarage.com. That's the website. And then Big Oak Garage on Facebook and Instagram. And then gripautocross.com. And
Will's at a lot of the big shows, Facebook, usually. Sometimes just for the car. Sometimes they have their booth set up. So always stop and see him. They're a good place to hang out and visit and give his dad a hug. His dad's a good hugger.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, we'll see you, man.
Hey, welders, ready to upgrade your gear and save some serious dough in the process? The Miller Build with Blue Savings and Rebate Program has you covered. Find amazing deals and cashback rebates on a wide range of Miller products, from welders to plasma cutters and everything in between, all backed by our 3-year warranty. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Take advantage of the Miller Build with Blue program now. Visit us online or stop by your nearest Miller distributor today to start saving.